You are two people, the strong you and the weak you. Every day, one survives. Musashi lived by the sword, but more than that, he lived by truth. He killed the weaker self each morning, not with violence, but with unwavering discipline. There is no peace until you defeat the version of yourself that hesitates, the one who seeks comfort. You cannot sharpen your soul without friction. The warrior doesn't wait to feel strong. He chooses to be. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind, and tell us, where are you watching from? You think you are one person? This is your first mistake. Every morning when you rise, two beings awake within you. One seeks to build an empire. The other seeks to build excuses. One yearns for the blade of discipline. The other begs for the pillow of comfort. You are not one, you are two. And every day, one must die. I learned this truth not in temples or schools, but in the moments before dawn, when the weak self pleads for more sleep and the strong self demands action. In 60 duels, I faced death, but the greatest battles were fought in silence against the enemy within. Each victory on the battlefield was first won in this internal war, a war most refuse to even acknowledge. Most of you live in harmony with your weakness. You negotiate with it, you feed it, you let it whisper its poisons. Tomorrow, not yet. When I feel ready. These are the words of a self that must be slain. You treat this voice as a friend, but it is an assassin in disguise, killing your potential with kindness. The weak you is clever. It doesn't show itself in obvious cowardice. It hides in reasonable delays, in comfortable compromises, in the voice that says, "Be realistic." This voice has killed more dreams than any external enemy ever could. It comes bearing gifts of comfort, rest, and safety. But these gifts are poisoned chalices. Here is what most don't understand. Strength isn't something you find. It's something you forge by killing weakness daily. Every morning when I rose to practice with my sword, my hands remembered every moment I wanted to quit but didn't. Every scar on my body marks not just a victory over an opponent, but a victory over the self that wanted to avoid the fight. These scars are not badges of pain. They are medals of triumph over the weaker self. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot build strength while coddling weakness. The weak you must die, not once but every day. How? Through action without hesitation, through discomfort embraced as a teacher, through the daily sacrifice of what you are for what you could become. This is not philosophy, this is strategy. Let me be clear, this death isn't physical. It's the death of excuses, the death of procrastination, the death of the voice that says you're not ready, not worthy, not capable. This death happens in the moment you choose to act despite that voice. It happens in the cold morning when you rise while others sleep. It happens in the moment you choose the difficult path over the easy one. I've watched thousands of warriors train. The ones who failed weren't lacking in skill. They were lacking in the courage to kill their weaker selves. They practiced the sword but fed their doubts. They strengthened their bodies but nourished their fears. Every day they arrived at the dojo carrying their weakness like a cherished pet, wondering why they couldn't advance. Your weak self will beg for mercy. It will promise to change. It will rationalize its existence. But here is the truth I learned through battle. Mercy to weakness is cruelty to greatness. Every time you spare your weaker self, you sentence your stronger self to imprisonment. The prison is comfortable, but it is a prison nonetheless. The method is simple, but few have the courage to practice it. Rise before your excuses, wake up. Move before your doubts can speak. Strike before your fears can take form. The warrior's path begins with the death of hesitation. This is not about violence. It is about decisive action that leaves no room for weakness to breathe. When you feel resistance to action, that is your weak self fighting for survival. When you feel the urge to postpone, to soften, to compromise, that is your weak self negotiating for its life. These moments are not obstacles. They are opportunities to strengthen your sword arm against your greatest enemy. Each resistance overcome is a small death to weakness, a small victory for strength. But let me ask you this. What happens when you let your weak self live? It doesn't stay the same size. It grows. Every compromise feeds it. Every excuse strengthens it. Every delay empowers it. Until one day you realize the weak self isn't just a part of you, it has become you. This is how empires fall, not from outside invasion, but from internal decay. This is why the weak you must die daily. Not next week. Not when you feel stronger. Not when circumstances improve. Now, today, in this moment, through decisive action, through uncomfortable growth, through the sacrifice of what you are for what you must become. The sword of decision must fall each day, cutting away what holds you back. Remember, the strong you is always present, waiting to be chosen. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't need perfect conditions. It needs only your decision to kill what holds you back. It stands ready, sword drawn, waiting for you to choose strength over comfort, growth over safety, mastery over mediocrity. Choose now. Will you spend another day feeding your weakness, or will you finally draw your sword against it? The weak you must die. This is not cruelty. It is necessity. This is not loss. It is liberation. This is the first principle of the warrior's path. To become strong, you must first destroy what makes you weak. The greatest lie of this age is that you must wait for motivation, that you must feel ready to act. That inspiration precedes action. I did not win 60 duels by waiting to feel brave. I won them by moving when others waited. Every victory was seized, not by the hands of inspiration, but by the grip of necessity. Let me speak a truth that few want to hear. Your feelings are irrelevant to your success. They are clouds passing through the sky of your mind. The warrior does not wait for favorable winds. He moves regardless of the weather. While others stand paralyzed, waiting for the perfect moment, the warrior understands that imperfect action trumps perfect hesitation. Most of you have been taught backwards. You believe that motivation leads to action, that inspiration leads to movement, that you must feel powerful before you can become powerful. This is the thinking of those who will never know true strength. This is the philosophy of eternal beginners, forever waiting for a signal that will never come. Here is what most don't understand. Action precedes motivation. Movement creates energy. The warrior's spirit awakens not in contemplation, but in combat. In my years of training, I never once felt ready for battle. Readiness was not a feeling, it was a decision. The power you seek lives on the other side of action, not in the realm of emotion. Your ancestors did not wait for motivation to hunt. They did not wait for inspiration to defend their lands. They moved because movement was necessary. They acted because action was survival. This truth remains unchanged. Necessity, not emotion, must be your guide. Their blood runs in your veins, but their wisdom has been diluted by modern comfort. But let me ask you this. How many mornings have you waited to feel strong? How many opportunities have passed while you waited for courage? How many battles have you lost to the false god of when I feel ready? Count these losses. Remember them. They are not failures of ability, but failures of understanding. The way of the warrior is simple. Rise before the sun, not because you want to, but because you must. Train your body, not because you feel energized, but because weakness is not an option. Face your challenges, not because you feel confident, but because obstacles do not move for feelings. This is not a path of inspiration. It is a path of necessity. I have seen countless warriors fall not to superior opponents, but to their own need for emotional readiness. They waited for the perfect moment, the perfect feeling, the perfect condition, and in their waiting, they grew weak. In their hesitation, they were defeated. Their graves were dug not by their enemies, but by their own need to feel prepared. When I taught the sword, I did not ask my students if they felt prepared. I did not inquire about their emotional state. I demanded action, because in action, fear dissolves. In movement, doubt disappears. In the doing, strength emerges. The sword does not care how you feel. It cares only about how you move. Your mind will create 1,000 reasons to wait. It will tell you that tomorrow will be better, that you need more preparation, that you should feel more confident first. These are the whispers of weakness, disguised as wisdom. They sound like protection, but they are prison bars made of thought. The secret that transformed me from a young, uncertain swordsman to a warrior was this: I stopped waiting to feel ready. I stopped requiring emotional permission to act. I moved when movement was needed, regardless of how I felt. Every morning was a battle against the desire to wait, and every morning, action won. Here is what most people don't understand. The human spirit strengthens not through comfort, but through necessity. When you strip away the luxury of waiting for motivation, you tap into a deeper power, the power of pure will. This is the well that never runs dry, the sword that never dulls. Your feelings will fluctuate like waves on the ocean, but the warrior's path must be as steady as the ocean floor. This steadiness comes not from constant inspiration, but from the elimination of emotional dependency. Act because you must, not because you feel like it. Let necessity be your constant. Companion, the method is clear. Wake up and move immediately. Train without emotional preparation. Face challenges without waiting for courage. Let necessity, not motivation, be your master. This is how warriors are forged, not through feeling, but through relentless action. Each movement without motivation builds a stronger foundation than 1,000 inspired thoughts. Remember this: every moment spent waiting for motivation is a moment given to weakness. Every delay in the name of not feeling ready is a victory for mediocrity. The time to act is not when you feel powerful, it is now, especially when you don't feel powerful at all. This is where true strength is born. You want to know the secret of the sword? It's not in the feeling, it's in the swing. You want to know the secret of strength? It's not in the motivation, it's in the movement. Stop waiting, start moving. This is the way of the warrior. Let others wait for inspiration. You will move by the command of necessity, and in this movement find power they will never know. Discipline is not what you think it is. It is not chains that bind you. It is not rules that restrict you. Discipline is your blade, and like any blade, it must be forged in fire, hammered by will, and sharpened daily. Every act of discipline cuts away weakness. Every moment of restraint hones your edge. This is how you become a weapon of purpose. I have seen 1,000 swords, but few were truly sharp. I have seen 1,000 warriors, but few were truly disciplined. Most mistake routine for discipline, habit for mastery. But here is what they don't understand. True discipline is not about following a path. It is about carving one. Every disciplined choice is a cut against mediocrity. Let me ask you this: how sharp is your blade? When temptation whispers, does your discipline cut through it? When weakness beckons, does your resolve slice it clean? Most carry dull blades, dulled by compromise, blunted by excuses. They wonder why they cannot cut through their challenges, yet they sharpen their blades only when convenient. Here is what most don't understand. Every moment is a chance to sharpen or dull your blade. That extra hour of sleep, it dulls you. That skip training, it dulls you. That small compromise, that tiny surrender to comfort, each one takes the edge off your weapon. The warrior knows this. Discipline is not maintained. It is strengthened or weakened. There is no middle ground. My years of dueling, I learned that the sharpest blade was not the one most recently polished, but the one that had never been allowed to dull. The same is true of discipline. You cannot sharpen it once and expect it to stay keen. Each day demands its own edge. Each challenge tests your blade anew. The method of forging discipline is simple, but few have the courage to endure it. Rise. At the same hour, regardless of desire. Train at the same intensity, regardless of mood. Maintain your standards, regardless of circumstance. These are not acts of routine. They are acts of forging. Each one tempers your blade. Most of you treat discipline like a borrowed sword, something to be used when convenient and set aside when uncomfortable. But discipline must be your own blade, an extension of your will. It must be so familiar in your grip that using it becomes as natural as breathing. This familiarity comes not from thinking about discipline, but from living it without question. When I trained others in the way of the sword, the first lesson was never about technique. It was about showing up every day, without excuse, without negotiation. Those who complained about this simple demand never lasted. They wanted the power of the sword without the discipline of forging it. They sought the cut without the blade. Your discipline must be absolute. Half discipline is no discipline at all. It is like a sword with a crack in its blade. It will shatter when you need it most. Every time you break your word to yourself, every time you allow an exception to your standards, you create fractures in your blade. These small compromises accumulate until one day, under pressure, you break. But let me reveal what most will never understand. The pain of discipline is temporary, but its edge is permanent. Every morning you rise before dawn, you sharpen your blade. Every craving you resist, every comfort you deny in service of your goals, these are not sacrifices. They are the hammer and anvil that forge your weapon. Here is what the weak fear to know. Discipline hurts. It should hurt. The forging of any blade requires fire and force. Your comfort must burn. Your old habits must be hammered out. Your excuses must be ground away. This pain is not your enemy. It is the heat that makes the steel of your will malleable enough to shape. Watch closely. When you feel the resistance to your discipline, when every fiber of your being fights against your standards, this is not the moment to ease up. This is the moment of forging. The fire is hottest, the hammer strikes hardest, and your blade is being shaped. These moments of highest resistance are your moments of greatest transformation. The warrior's secret is this: discipline becomes easier, not because the path becomes easier, but because your blade becomes sharper. What once seemed like insurmountable obstacles are now cut through with ease, not because the obstacles have changed, but because you have forged yourself into something that can cut through them. Remember, your discipline is not separate from you. It is not a tool you pick up when needed. It is your blade, an extension of your will, forged from your decisions, tempered by your consistency, sharpened by your choices. Every moment either sharpens or dulls this blade. There is no neutral ground. Let others carry their dull blades of convenience. Let them wonder why they cannot cut through their limitations. You know better. Your discipline is your edge against mediocrity, your blade against weakness. Keep it sharp. Use it daily. This is how warriors are made, not through chance or talent, but through the relentless forging of discipline. Comfort is a poison that kills slowly. It doesn't strike like a sword. It seduces like a lover. It doesn't attack your body. It weakens your spirit. In all my years of combat, I never met a warrior defeated by pain, but I have seen countless warriors destroyed by comfort. They died long before their bodies fell, killed by the sweetest poison of all, ease. Most of you live in fear of discomfort. You treat it as an enemy to be avoided, rather than a teacher to be embraced. But here is what the warrior knows. Comfort is the real enemy. It promises safety, but delivers weakness. It offers rest, but creates rust. Your muscles, your mind, your spirit, they all decay in the arms of comfort. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you grew stronger in comfort? When did ease ever forge strength? Look at nature. Every living thing must resist, must struggle, must face discomfort to grow. A tree sheltered from the wind grows weak and falls. A bird protected from struggle never learns to fly. Yet you Seek to avoid the very force that would make you strong. Here is what most don't understand. Comfort is not a reward. It is a trap. Every time you choose ease over challenge, every time you pick comfort over growth, you are not resting. You are surrendering. The warm bed that calls you to sleep longer, it is a grave for your potential. The easy path that promises relief, it leads to a prison of weakness. In my dojo, I could always spot the warriors destined to fail. They were not the ones who lacked skill. They were the ones who sought comfort in their training. They practiced only what felt good. They stopped at the first sign of fatigue. They avoided the techniques that challenged them most. Their search for comfort became their strategy for failure. The method is clear but cruel. Seek discomfort daily. Not randomly but systematically, not recklessly but purposefully. Wake before your body wants to. Train beyond your mind's first request to stop. Go where others avoid. Do what others postpone. Every comfort rejected is a muscle strengthened. Every discomfort embraced is a chain broken. Most of you have been deceived by modern life. You believe that comfort is a sign of success, that ease is a measure of achievement, but comfort is not your friend. It is a skilled assassin that kills your warrior spirit one luxury at a time. It doesn't strike at your throat. It massages your shoulders while whispering, "Relax, take it easy, you've done enough." Watch this carefully. The more comfortable you become, the more you fear discomfort. The more you avoid pain, the weaker your tolerance for it grows. This is how warriors become cowards, not through sudden fear, but through gradual surrender to comfort. Each easy choice makes the hard choice more difficult. Each surrender to comfort makes resistance more painful. But let me reveal the secret that every true warrior discovers: discomfort is the most honest teacher you will ever have. Pain doesn't lie. Fatigue doesn't deceive. Resistance doesn't flatter. When you step into discomfort willingly, you learn truths about yourself that comfort would never reveal. These truths are your real strength. The warrior's path demands this. Understanding. Growth lives on the other side of comfort. Power exists beyond ease. Every great achievement in history was born from someone willing to be uncomfortable longer than others, to bear the weight that others avoided, to walk the path that others feared. Here is what separates warriors from cowards. Warriors know that comfort is earned through discomfort. They don't avoid the cold morning. They embrace it until their spirit becomes warm, regardless of temperature. They don't flee from challenge. They advance until difficulty becomes their comfort zone. This is not reckless suffering. It is strategic hardening. Your ancestors knew this truth. They didn't have the luxury of comfort, and they were stronger for it. Every day was a battle against the elements, against hunger, against real threats. Their comfort was in their capability, not their surroundings. You have inherited their strength, but comfort has buried it deep beneath layers of ease. Remember this: the most dangerous comfort is not physical, it is mental. It is the comfort of not pushing further, not trying harder, not demanding more from yourself. It is the comfort of mediocrity, of good enough, of lowercase living in an uppercase world. This mental ease is the coward maker, the warrior killer, the dream thief. Choose now. Will you live as a warrior or die slowly in comfort? Will you embrace the hard path that leads to strength or the soft path that leads to weakness? Comfort makes cowards, but discomfort makes warriors. Let others seek their ease. You seek your growth. Let others avoid their fears. You face yours. This is the way of the warrior, not because it is pleasant, but because it is necessary. Movement is life. Stillness is death. This is not philosophy. This is law. In 60 duels, I never saw a stationary warrior claim victory. In all my years of training, I never witnessed hesitation produce strength. Your body is not designed for stillness. It is a weapon waiting to be wielded, a force waiting to be unleashed. Yet most of you move like you have 1,000 tomorrows. Here is what most don't understand. Every movement tells a story. the way you rise from bed, the way you walk, the way you enter a room. These are not just actions. They are declarations. When you move with purpose, the world feels your intent. When you move with hesitation, the world senses your doubt. Your movement is your message. Let me ask you this. How do you move when no one is watching? With the lazy shuffle of someone killing time, or with the purposeful stride of a warrior on a mission? Your private movements shape your public power. The way you move when alone becomes the way you move when challenged. There is no such thing as practice. Movement. There is only movement. I have seen warriors with perfect technique fail in battle, not because they lacked skill, but because they lacked urgency. They moved like they were in practice, not combat. They fought like they could try again tomorrow. But here is the truth. Every movement must carry the weight of necessity. Move. Like each step could be your last. Like each action could determine your destiny. Most of you move reactively, waiting for life to push you before you step. A warrior moves proactively, understanding that movement itself creates opportunity. In battle, the one who waits for the perfect moment dies waiting. The one who creates the moment through decisive movement shapes the battle to their will. This is not just about combat. This is about life. The method is absolute. Move with purpose or don't move at all. Half movement is more dangerous than no movement. Tepid action breeds tepid results. When you rise, rise like an army charging into battle. When you train, train like your life hangs on each repetition. When you step, step like you're leaving an imprint on the earth that will last 1,000 years. Your body is not separate from your spirit. How you move shapes how you think. Move slowly, think slowly. Move decisively, think decisively. Move like a warrior, become a warrior. This is why I demanded absolute commitment in every movement from my students. Not for show, not for style, but because movement is mentality made visible. But let me reveal what separates masters from mediocrity. It's not about speed, it's about intention. A single step taken with absolute purpose outweighs 1,000 steps taken with doubt. When you move like your life depends on it, every action becomes a decision. Every step becomes a commitment. Every gesture becomes a declaration of intent. Watch closely. When a tiger moves, it moves completely. There is no hesitation, no half measure, no uncertain step. Whether stalking or sprinting, every movement carries the full weight of its purpose. This is your model. Not the lazy house cat that moves to move, but the predator that moves to live. Here is what most fear to confront. Your movement patterns are your life patterns. If you move with hesitation in training, you will hesitate in life. If you step back from challenge in practice, you will retreat from opportunity in reality. Every half-hearted movement reinforces a half-hearted spirit. Every purposeful step strengthens a purposeful mind. The warrior's secret is this. Movement is meditation in action. While others sit still to find peace, the warrior finds clarity in purposeful motion. Every step is a chance to practice presence. Every action is an opportunity to strengthen resolve. This is why the master and the novice can perform the same movement, yet tell entirely different stories. Your ancestors moved like survival demanded it, because it did. Every action carried the weight of necessity. They didn't have the luxury of casual movement. Their steps were measured, their actions purposeful, their movements meaningful. This power lies dormant in your blood, waiting to be awakened by purposeful action. Remember this, movement without purpose is just busyness. Action without intention is just activity. The warrior moves less, but moves with meaning. Each step calculated, each action considered, each movement maximized. This is not about being frantic. It is about being focused, not about being constant, but about being consequential. Let others move like life is a casual affair. You move like destiny watches your every step. Let others act like tomorrow is guaranteed. You move like this moment is all you have. Because here is the final truth. Life responds to urgency, The world yields to those who move with purpose. Power flows to those who act with conviction. Choose now. Will you continue to move through life like a leaf in the wind, or will you move like an arrow in flight? Will you act like you have endless time, or move like your life depends on it? Because it does. Every moment of movement is either strengthening your warrior spirit or weakening it. There is no neutral ground. Move with purpose or don't move at all. Praise is a sweet poison that kills greatness silently. I have watched countless warriors fall, not to the sword, but to the honey of applause. They begin seeking growth and end seeking approval. They start training for mastery and finish performing for praise. This is how excellence dies, not through defeat, but through the quiet corruption of validation. I mastered the sword in solitude. The morning air was my only witness, the rising sun my only audience. When others slept, I practiced. When others celebrated, I trained. When others sought approval, I sought improvement. This is what most don't understand. True mastery grows in shadows, not spotlights. The deepest roots form in darkness. Let me ask you this. Why do you train? Be honest with yourself. Do you move for mastery or for mirrors? Do you practice for growth or for glamour? Most of you have become performers rather than warriors. You seek likes instead of mastery, comments instead of competence. Each praise becomes a chain, binding you to the expectations of others. Here is what separates warriors from performers. Warriors practice what others don't see. They perfect movements that will never be applauded. They refine details that will never be noticed. Why? Because mastery isn't about recognition, it's about readiness. The deadliest sword techniques are often the simplest, practiced 10,000 times in silence. Most of you have been corrupted by the age of instant validation. You post your training, await the applause, and mistake attention for achievement. But let me reveal a truth learned in countless duels. The techniques that saved my life were not the ones that impressed audiences. They were the boring ones, practiced alone, refined in silence, mastered in solitude. The method is clear but demanding. Train when no one watches. Perfect what no one will praise. Master what no one will notice. The warrior's path is not a performance. It is a preparation. Each morning I would practice the same basic cuts hundreds of times. No audience would ever see them. No crowd would ever cheer them. But in battle, these were the movements that separated life from death. Watch closely. The moment you begin seeking praise, your training becomes corrupted. You start choosing movements that look impressive over movements that build power. You begin practicing what will be seen rather than what must be mastered. This is how warriors become dancers, skilled in show, weak in substance. But let me reveal the deeper poison of praise. It makes you dependent. Each compliment becomes a drug, each validation a necessity. Soon you cannot train without an audience. You cannot practice without posting. You cannot grow without gathering likes. Your warrior spirit becomes a beggar, seeking scraps of approval from strangers. Here is what most fear to confront. Praise feels good but builds weakness. It is comfortable but corrupting. Every time you seek validation, you give away power. Every time you chase approval, you surrender autonomy. The strongest warriors are often the most invisible, not because they hide, but because they have nothing to prove. Your ancestors didn't have social media to validate their strength. They didn't have audiences to applaud their skills. They had necessity, solitude, and the relentless pursuit of mastery. Their training was measured not in likes, but in survival, not in comments, but in capability. This pure pursuit of mastery lives in your blood, waiting to be remembered. The warrior's secret is this: true growth happens in silence. Real power builds in solitude. When you remove the need for praise, you remove the limits of people's expectations. When you train without audience, you train without ego. This is where mastery takes root, in the quiet moments when no one is watching, and excellence is its own reward. Most of you will reject this path. It is too quiet for your ego, too lonely for your pride. You have become addicted to the quick highs of validation rather than the slow burn of mastery. But remember this, the loudest warriors were often the first to fall. The most praised fighters were often the least prepared. Glory is the first casualty of combat. Your practice must be pure. Your training must be true. Every movement you make in solitude shapes who you become in battle. When you train without praise, you build something more valuable than approval. You build unshakable conviction. A warrior's confidence isn't built on compliments. It's forged in the crucible of solitary refinement. Choose now. Will you be a performer or a warrior? Will you chase praise or pursue mastery? The path of true strength is often invisible to others. Let them have their spotlights and stages. Your dojo is the dark morning. Your audience is excellence itself. Your validation is victory when it matters most. Practice without praise. Train without testimony. Master your craft in silence and let your strength speak when necessary. Your greatest enemy does not carry a sword. It does not strike from shadows. It does not wait in ambush on distant battlefields. Your deadliest opponent lives between your ears, speaks with your voice, and knows your every weakness. I have faced 1,000 challengers, but none were as dangerous as the voice that whispers doubt, that counsels delay, that promises tomorrow. Most of you look outward for enemies while the true assassin sits in your skull, poisoning your potential with thoughts that sound like wisdom. This inner enemy is clever. It doesn't attack with obvious fear. It strikes with reasonable excuses. It doesn't wage war with panic. It corrupts with logical justifications. Be realistic, it whispers. Take it easy, it soothes. There's always tomorrow, it promises. Let me ask you this. How many battles have you lost to your own mind? How many victories has your inner enemy stolen with doubt? How many dreams lie buried under the weight of "I'm not ready" or "this isn't the right time"? Count these casualties. Remember these defeats. They were not losses to external forces. They were surrenders to internal deception. Here is what most don't understand. The enemy within never sleeps. It never tires. It never stops searching for weakness. While external opponents attack your body, this enemy attacks your resolve. While outer challenges test your strength, this foe corrupts your will. It knows your fears because it created them. It knows your doubts because it planted them. The method of defeating this enemy is brutal but necessary. You must learn to recognize its voice. Every thought that counsels comfort over growth, that's your enemy speaking. Every impulse that chooses easy over necessary, that's your opponent moving. Every moment of hesitation when action is needed, that's your adversary winning. Watch closely. The enemy within speaks in your own voice. It crafts arguments that sound like your own wisdom. You deserve a break, it says, and you mistake surrender for self-care. Be patient, it advises, and you confuse cowardice with prudence. This is how inner battles are lost, not through direct defeat, but through disguised deception. But let me reveal the deeper strategy of this foe. It doesn't want to destroy you quickly. It seeks to erode you slowly. Each small surrender, each tiny compromise, each moment of chosen weakness, these are its victories. It doesn't need to win big battles when it can win 1,000 small ones. Your strength dies not by execution, but by 1,000 paper cuts of just this once. Most of you have been trained to look for external solutions to internal warfare. You buy new equipment but carry the same old doubts. You change environments but pack your fears in your baggage. You seek new teachers while ignoring the saboteur in your skull. This is how the enemy within maintains its power, by keeping you focused on the outside while it works from within. Here is what warriors know. Every external battle is first won or lost in the mind, before the sword is drawn, before the stance is taken, before the first move is made. the mind has already chosen victory or defeat. This is why the enemy within is so dangerous. It doesn't have to defeat your body if it can convince your mind to surrender. The warrior's secret is this: the enemy within can never be fully destroyed, but it can be mastered. Every time you act despite its whispers, you weaken its power. Every time you advance despite its warnings, you diminish its authority. Every time you choose growth over comfort, victory over safety, necessity over excuse, you win a battle in this endless war. Your ancestors knew this enemy. They called it by many names: the trickster, the shadow self, the inner demon. But they understood its nature. They knew that the greatest battles were fought not on physical fields, but on the battleground of the mind. This wisdom lives in your blood, waiting to be remembered. Remember this: the voice that limits you is not your ally. The thoughts that shelter you from growth are not your friends. The inner dialogue that keeps you small is not your protector. These are all faces of the enemy within, masks worn by the force that would keep you from your potential. Choose now. Will you continue to be deceived by the enemy that knows you best, or will you learn to recognize its voice and reject its counsel? Victory over the self is the first and most crucial battle. Let others war against the world while remaining slaves to their own minds. You know better. You see the true enemy. This is the warrior's path: to wage daily war against the inner opponent, to advance not just against external resistance, but against internal sabotage, to recognize that your greatest enemy swings no sword but whispers sweet excuses. Master this battle, and all other victories become possible. Lose it, and no external triumph will ever be enough. The warrior who carries too much dies by the weight of his own possessions. I learned this truth not in victory, but in defeat, watching warriors fall, not because they lacked strength, but because they carried too much, too many techniques, too many possessions, too many thoughts, too many attachments. Their defeat was not in what they lacked, but in what they refused to release. Most of you are drowning in excess. Your lives are cluttered with possessions that own you, relationships that drain you, habits that weaken you, and thoughts that plague you. You mistake abundance for power, accumulation for growth. But here is what the warrior knows: true power lies not in what you can hold, but in what you can release. Let me ask you this: what do you carry that carries you? What possessions possess you? What relationships drain your warrior spirit? What habits steal your strength? Most of you never ask these questions. You keep adding, accumulating, gathering, never realizing that each unnecessary thing is a weight around your neck in the battle of life. Here is what most don't understand: elimination is more powerful than addition. The master's way is not in gathering more, but in stripping away until only the essential remains. I did not become deadly by learning 1,000 techniques. I became deadly by mastering a few techniques 1,000 times. Perfection is not when there is nothing to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. The method is ruthless but necessary. Eliminate everything that does not serve your warrior path. Every possession that doesn't strengthen you must go. Every relationship that weakens you must end. Every habit that doesn't forge you must die. Every thought that doesn't serve you must be cut away. This is not cruelty, this is clarity. Watch closely. The most dangerous things you carry are not physical. They are the invisible burdens, outdated beliefs, useless worries, toxic relationships, meaningless commitments. These weigh nothing on the scale, but crush you in battle. A warrior must be as ruthless with thoughts as with possessions. Cut what weakens. Eliminate what does not serve. But let me reveal the deeper truth about elimination. It is not about having less. It is about making room for more life. When you strip away the unnecessary, what remains grows stronger. When you clear the clutter of your life, your true power has space to expand. This is why the empty cup can be filled, while the full cup can only spill. Most of you have been trained by society to gather, to hoard, to collect. You measure worth by what you have rather than what you can do. But remember this: in every battle I won, victory came not from what I carried, but from what I had discarded, not from what I knew, but from what I had forgotten, not from what I had, but from what I had released. Here's what separates warriors from collectors. Warriors know that each possession owns a piece of their mind. Each unnecessary commitment steals a fraction of their focus. Each toxic relationship drains a portion of their spirit. So they choose carefully, eliminate constantly, and keep only what serves their path. The warrior's secret is this: power flows better through empty spaces. A mind cluttered with unnecessary thoughts cannot think clearly. A life cluttered with unnecessary things cannot move freely. A spirit cluttered with unnecessary attachments cannot grow fully. Elimination is not loss, it is liberation. Your ancestors understood this. They carried only what served survival, kept only what enhanced their strength, maintained only relationships that supported their growth. They were powerful, not despite their limitations, but because of them. This wisdom of elimination lives in your blood, waiting to be remembered. Remember this: every possession you own must justify its existence in your life. Every relationship you maintain must earn its place in your journey. Every habit you keep must prove its worth to your growth. Every thought you harbor must demonstrate its value to your path. Anything that cannot pass this test must go. Most of you will resist this teaching. You have been conditioned to believe that more is better, that abundance equals success, that possession equals power. But look at nature. The most powerful animals are not those who carry the most, but those who have eliminated everything that slows them down. Choose now. Will you continue to be weighed down by the unnecessary, or will you become light and lethal through elimination? Will you remain burdened by possessions, relationships, habits, and thoughts that do not serve your warrior path? Or will you cut them away with the sword of decision? This is the way of the warrior: to carry only what strengthens, to keep only what serves, to maintain only what matters. Let others gather possessions while you gather power. Let others collect things while you collect strength. The warrior's wealth is not in what they have, but in what they can do without. A dull mind makes every sword useless. In all my duels, I never faced a warrior whose body defeated me. It was always their mind that lost first. I have seen men with perfect technique fall to those with sharper thinking. I have watched masters of the sword become slaves to their scattered thoughts. This is the truth most refuse to see. The greatest weapon you possess is not steel. It is thought. Most of you train backwards. You obsess over physical technique while leaving your mind wild and undisciplined. You sharpen your weapons but let your thoughts remain dull. You strengthen your body but allow your focus to wander. This is like giving a sword to a child. Dangerous. Not because of the weapon, but because of the wielder. Let me ask you this: how clear is your mind in battle? Not just in physical combat, but in the daily wars of life. When pressure mounts, does your thinking sharpen or scatter? When chaos surrounds you, does your mind focus or fracture? Most of you have never trained your greatest weapon. You have merely let it run wild. Here is what most don't understand. Mental clarity is not a gift. It is a forge. Just as a sword must be heated, hammered, and cooled repeatedly, the mind must be tempered through daily discipline. Every morning before I touched my sword, I would sit in silence, training my thoughts to move with purpose, teaching my mind to cut through confusion. The method is demanding but vital. Begin each day by sharpening your mind. Sit in silence before the world wakes. Learn to watch your thoughts without following them. Train your focus like you would train a blade, removing the nicks, smoothing the edges, honing the point. A scattered mind makes every action weak. A focused mind makes every movement powerful. Watch closely. When a thought arises, does it control you or do you control it? When emotion surfaces, does it master you or do you master it? This is the difference between a warrior and a victim. not in their circumstances, but in their mental mastery. The untrained mind is a weapon that wounds its owner. But let me reveal the deeper truth about mental discipline. Your thoughts shape your reality before reality shapes your thoughts. Every battle is won or lost in the mind before it is fought in the world. When your thinking is sharp, opportunities become visible. When your mind is clear, decisions become decisive. When your focus is trained, action becomes unstoppable. Most of you live at the mercy of your thoughts. You believe everything your mind tells you. You follow every emotion it produces. You obey every fear it creates. This is not freedom. This is the deepest form of slavery. A warrior must learn to use the mind as a tool, not be used by it as a victim. Here is what separates masters from amateurs. Masters know that mental clarity precedes physical mastery. They understand that a minute of focused thinking is worth an hour of scattered practice. They realize that the quality of their mind determines the quality of their action. This is why they train their thinking with the same intensity they train their body. The warrior's secret is this: the mind must become like still water, reflecting reality precisely without distortion. When emotions ripple its surface, you must learn to wait for clarity. When thoughts cloud its depths, you must learn to seek stillness. This is not meditation for peace. It is meditation for power. Your ancestors understood this wisdom. Before every hunt, every battle, every major decision, they would first seek mental clarity. They knew that a clouded mind makes the strongest arm weak, while a clear mind makes even simple weapons deadly. This understanding runs in your blood, waiting to be awakened. Remember this: every thought either sharpens or dulls your edge. Every mental habit either strengthens or weakens your resolve. Every moment of focus either trains or neglects your greatest weapon. There is no neutral ground in the battle for mental mastery. Most of you will resist this teaching. It is easier to train the body. It shows immediate results, earns quick praise, provides visible progress. But the mind? Its training is invisible, its progress subtle, its mastery noticed only in the heat of battle. Yet this is where true power lies. Choose now. Will you continue to let your thoughts run wild while working only on physical technique? Or will you begin the deeper training, the forging of mental clarity, the development of unshakable focus, the cultivation of warrior thinking? This is the path of true mastery, to sharpen the mind until it cuts through confusion like a blade through air, to train your thinking until it becomes as reliable as your sword arm, to forge your focus until it becomes an unshakable force. Let others perfect their techniques while their minds remain dull. You know better. The deadliest weapon is the one between your ears. There is no secret technique, no hidden scroll, no mystical shortcut to power. The way is not found in books or theories or philosophies. The way is in training. Every morning, every movement, every moment of focused practice, this is where mastery lives. I did not find the way. I forged it through 10,000 strikes, through countless hours when others slept, through relentless repetition that transformed intention into instinct. Most of you search for secrets while avoiding the obvious truth. Mastery is manufactured, not discovered. You read about warfare instead of training for it. You discuss techniques instead of drilling them. You seek wisdom in words while avoiding wisdom in action. But here is what the warrior knows. Knowledge without training is like a sword without an arm. Powerless. Let me ask you this. How many hours have you spent seeking shortcuts? How much time have you wasted looking for secrets? How many books have you read while your body remained untrained? Count these hours. They are not investments in wisdom. They are investments in avoidance. The way reveals itself only to those who train. Here is what most don't understand. Training is not preparation for the way. Training is the way. Every repetition builds not just skill, but understanding. Every drill teaches not just movement, but truth. Every practice session reveals not just technique, but principle. The deepest insights come not from contemplation, but from action. The method is simple but unrelenting. Train daily without exception. Not when you feel inspired, not when conditions are perfect, not when others are watching. Train when you're tired. Train when you're discouraged. Train when you seem to make no progress. The way is revealed not in any single session, but in the accumulation of thousands. Watch closely. The difference between a master and an amateur is not in their knowledge. It is in their training. The amateur practices until they get it right. The master practices until they cannot get it wrong. This is not about talent or genius. It is about the relentless refinement of basic movements until they become as natural as breathing. But let me reveal the deeper truth about training. It transforms not just your body, but your being. Every session rewrites not just your muscles, but your character. Every drill reshapes not just your technique, but your spirit. This is why the way cannot be found in books. It must be forged in the fire of practice. Most of you have been deceived by the age of instant gratification. You want mastery without monotony, power without practice, wisdom without work. But remember this, every great warrior in history was first a student of repetition. They understood that excellence is not an act, but a habit forged through thousands of conscious repetitions. Here is what separates warriors from wishers. Warriors embrace the boredom of training. They understand that mastery lives in the monotony. They know that power grows through practice. While others seek excitement, they seek excellence through endless repetition. While others chase variety, they chase perfection through focused practice. The warrior's secret is this: training never ends. There is no graduation from the school of mastery. Each level of skill reveals new depths to explore, new heights to reach, new aspects to refine. The way is not a destination. It is a never-ending journey of refinement through relentless training. Your ancestors understood this. They didn't have luxuries or distractions. They had necessity and practice. Every skill they possessed was earned. Through countless repetitions, every ability was forged through endless training. This understanding runs in your blood, the knowledge that mastery comes through manufacture, not miracle. Remember this: every training session is a vote for your future self. Every practice is a brick in the foundation of your power. Every drill is a step on the path of mastery. There are no meaningless repetitions. There are no wasted practices. There are only opportunities seized or surrendered. Most of you will reject this teaching. It is too simple for your ego, too demanding for your comfort, too monotonous for your desires. You want complexity because complexity allows excuses. You want secrets because secrets allow delay. You want shortcuts because shortcuts promise ease. Choose now. Will you continue searching for secrets while avoiding the obvious truth? Or will you embrace the way of training, the daily discipline, the endless repetition, the conscious refinement that transforms intention into instinct? Will you remain a seeker of shortcuts, or will you become a student of the way? This is the path of the warrior: to train when others talk, to practice while others ponder, to drill while others dream. Let them search for secrets. You know better. The way is not hidden. It is revealed through training, not in any single session, but in the thousands of sessions that transform seeking into finding, trying into doing, practice into power. The warrior's path is walked alone. This truth is not meant to comfort you. It is meant to free you. In my years of mastery, I learned that true strength grows in solitude, real power forges in isolation, and genuine wisdom emerges in silence. Most of you run from loneliness, filling every moment with noise, drowning silence with distraction, avoiding the very solitude that would make you strong. Let me speak a truth that few can bear. The heights of mastery are lonely by necessity, not because company is forbidden, but because few will walk as far as you must walk. Few will rise as early, train as hard, persist as long, or sacrifice as much. This is not tragedy. This is the price of power. The eagle soars alone while pigeons flock. Most of you fear solitude like a disease. You surround yourself with mediocrity rather than face the growth that loneliness brings. You choose weak company over strong solitude. You accept shallow connections over deep self-reliance. But here is what the warrior knows. The crowd will never lead you to mastery. The masses will never guide you to greatness. Here is what most don't understand. Loneliness is not an enemy to be defeated. It is a forge to be used. Every moment of solitude is an opportunity for strengthening. Every instance of isolation is a chance for deepening. The warrior doesn't seek to escape loneliness. They learn to use it as a weapon, a tool, a path to power. The method is absolute. Learn to be alone with purpose. Rise before others and own the silence. Train when no one watches and master the solitude. Think when others distract themselves and harness the quiet. This is not isolation for isolation's sake. It is strategic solitude, purposeful separation, calculated cultivation of self-reliance. Watch closely. Those who cannot be alone cannot be strong. Those who cannot face silence cannot hear truth. Those who cannot bear solitude cannot bear the weight of mastery. Your dependence on others' presence is a measure of your inner weakness. Your need for constant company is a chain that holds you back. But let me reveal the deeper truth about the lonely path. It is not about avoiding people. It is about avoiding dependence. The warrior can move through crowds while remaining internally. Solitary. They can engage with others while maintaining their sovereign solitude. This is not about physical isolation. It is about spiritual independence. Most of you have never known true solitude. You mistake physical aloneness for genuine solitude of spirit. But even in your moments alone, your mind stays crowded with others' opinions, with social media's noise, with the constant chatter of unchallenged thoughts. True solitude requires emptying not just your environment, but your mind. Here is what separates warriors from followers. Warriors find strength in solitude, while others find comfort in crowds. They forge their path while others follow worn trails. They listen to their own wisdom while others parrot common knowledge. This is not arrogance. It is necessity. The highest peaks have room only for those willing to climb alone. The warrior's secret is this: the deepest strengths are forged in solitude, because only in solitude can you face yourself fully. Only in silence can you hear your true voice. Only in isolation can you test your real strength. The crowd gives many things, but it cannot give you mastery. That must be earned in moments no one sees. Your ancestors understood this. The greats, hunters, warriors, and leaders, all had to face moments of decisive solitude. They knew that power grown in isolation becomes unshakable because it depends on nothing external. This wisdom waits in your blood, calling you to embrace the lonely path to strength. Remember this: every great decision will be made alone. Every moment of true growth will happen in solitude. Every step toward mastery will separate you further from the common path. This is not a curse. It is a blessing. The solitude that breaks the weak forges the strong. Most of you will reject this teaching. You have been trained to fear solitude, to see it as punishment rather than power. You have been conditioned to believe that constant connection equals strength, that continuous company equals success. But look at nature. The most powerful creatures are often the most solitary. Choose now. Will you continue to fear the lonely path, or will you embrace it as the way to power? Will you keep drowning silence with noise, or will you learn to let solitude strengthen you? The choice is not between companionship and isolation. It is between dependence and mastery. This is the way of the warrior: to find comfort in discomfort, strength in solitude, power in independence. Let others cluster in comfort while you climb alone. Let them seek constant company while you seek consistent growth. The path to mastery is not crowded because few have the courage to walk alone. Words are wind. Action is iron. In all my battles, I never saw a warrior defeat an opponent with promises. I never witnessed victory claimed by declaration. The loudest voices often masked the weakest spirits, while the quietest warriors carried the deadliest blades. This is the truth most refuse to accept. Your mouth can lie, but your actions always speak truth. Most of you talk too much. You announce your intentions instead of executing them. You speak of your goals instead of pursuing them. You discuss greatness instead of demonstrating it. But here's what the warrior knows. Every word spent explaining what you will do is energy, stolen from doing it. Speech is seductive because it feels like action, but it is often just movement's graveyard. Let me ask you this. How many of your words have become reality? How many promises have become performances? How many declarations have become demonstrations? Count the gap between what you say and what you do. This space is not filled with potential. It is filled with betrayal. Every unfulfilled word is a small death to your warrior spirit. Here is what most don't understand. Execution needs no explanation. Results need no rhetoric. Power needs no promotion. The warrior's strength shows in their silence, not because they have nothing to say, but because they let their actions speak with unquestionable authority. True power moves quietly, like a blade through the air. The method is absolute. Shut your mouth, open your eyes, move your body. Let your actions build your reputation while others waste breath building excuses. This is not about being mute. It is about being meaningful. When you must speak, let your words be few and your actions many. Let your performance drown out all promises. Watch closely. Those who speak most of their future actions often do least in their present moment. Those who boast loudest of their strength often carry the most weakness. Those who proclaim their wisdom most frequently demonstrate it least consistently. Your words reveal your insecurities more than your intentions. But let me reveal the deeper poison of excessive speech. Every time you speak of what you will do, you release the pressure to do it. Every time you talk about your goals, you dilute the energy needed to achieve them. Every time you promise future action, you weaken present resolve. The more you talk about it, the less you tend to do it. Most of you have become addicted to the quick reward of declaration over the delayed gratification of demonstration. You prefer the immediate validation of speaking over the eventual victory of doing. But remember this. History remembers those who acted, not those who talked about acting. The warrior's legacy is built by hands, not lips. Here is what separates warriors from pretenders. Warriors understand that silence is not emptiness. It is preparation for meaningful action. They know that quiet is not weakness. It is the conservation of power. They realize that doing without declaring is not invisibility. It is impact without interference. The warrior's secret is this. Let your progress be your noise. Let your results be your voice. Let your mastery be your message. While others shout to be noticed, you move to be felt. While they speak to seem strong, you act to become stronger. This is not about secrecy. It is about substance. Your ancestors understood this wisdom. They knew that survival depended not on what was said, but what was done. They measured each other not by promises, but by proofs, not by words, but by works. This understanding runs in your blood, the knowledge that true power moves without announcement. Remember this. Every word you speak about your future actions places a debt upon your present character. Every promise you make drafts a contract your future self must fulfill. Every declaration of intent becomes a burden your actions must carry. Speak less, do more. Let silence be your preparation and action your proclamation. Most of you will resist this teaching. Words are easy. Talk is comfortable. Speech feels like progress. But look at nature. The deadliest predators don't announce their attacks. The strongest forces don't declare their power. The deepest rivers don't boast of their depth. Choose now. Will you continue to be a warrior of words, or will you become a master of movement? Will you keep announcing what you might do, or will you simply do what must be done? The choice is not between communication and silence. It is between empty promises and silent execution. This is the way of the warrior, to speak through action, to communicate through competence, to declare through demonstration. Let others talk about what they will become while you quietly become it. Let them discuss the path while you walk it. Let them describe the battle while you win it. Execute in silence. Let your results do the talking. Excuses are the armor of the weak. They protect you from nothing except growth. In all my years of combat, I never met a warrior who became stronger through justification, never witnessed greatness born from explanation, never saw power emerge from reasons why not. This is the brutal truth. Every excuse you accept becomes a fortress that imprisons your potential. Most of you have become architects of alibi, masters of explanation, artists of avoidance. You craft elaborate reasons for your weakness, build complex justifications for your surrender, design intricate explanations for your mediocrity. But here is what the warrior knows. An excuse, no matter how reasonable, is still a choice to remain weak. Let me ask you this. How many victories have your excuses won you? How many battles has your justification conquered? How many strengths has your explanation built? Count these carefully. You will find that every excuse has only ever achieved one thing. It has made you expert at being weak. Here is what most don't understand. Excuses are not protection, they are poison. They don't preserve your potential, they kill it. Every time you explain why you can't, you reinforce that you won't. Every time you justify weakness, you strengthen its hold. Every excuse accepted becomes a future excuse expected. The method is absolute. Become useless to excuse. Make yourself immune to justification. Render yourself allergic to explanation. When the voice of excuse speaks, do not negotiate, execute. When the temptation to explain arises, do not entertain, eliminate. This is not about being harsh. It is about being honest. Watch closely. The most dangerous excuses are not the obvious ones. They don't appear as laziness or fear. They come disguised as wisdom, masked as patience, cloaked as strategy. I'm being realistic, you say. I'm waiting for the right time, you claim. I'm planning carefully, you explain. These are not strategies. They are surrenders in disguise. But let me reveal the deeper corruption of excuses. They don't just explain failure, they ensure it. Every excuse you accept today becomes a prophecy you fulfill tomorrow. Every justification you embrace becomes a limitation you enforce. Every explanation you allow becomes a boundary you accept. Most of you have developed a relationship with your excuses. You nurture them, refine them, perfect them. You treat them like trusted advisors when they are actually assassins of your potential. But remember this, no excuse, no matter how valid, has ever lifted a sword, run a mile, or conquered a challenge. Excuses only ever do one thing. They keep you exactly where you are. Here is what separates warriors from wishers. Warriors make themselves useless to excuse. They understand that reasons why not are just decorated surrenders. They know that. Explanation is often just weakness wearing the mask of wisdom. While others build better excuses, warriors build better capabilities. The warrior's secret is this: treat every excuse like an enemy blade at your throat, because that's what it is, a weapon that kills your potential, slices your resolve, and severs your strength. The more valid the excuse seems, the more lethal it is. The more reasonable the justification appears, the more it weakens you. Your ancestors had no use for excuses. When survival was at stake, explanation was a luxury they couldn't afford. They didn't have the option to justify failure. They had only the imperative to succeed. This ruthless pragmatism runs in your blood, waiting to be remembered. Remember this. For every excuse you can think of, someone somewhere is succeeding despite worse obstacles. For every justification you create, someone is advancing against greater odds. For every explanation you craft, someone is winning with fewer resources. Most of you will resist this teaching. You have invested too heavily in your excuses. You have mastered the art of justification. You have perfected the skill of explanation. Abandoning these feels like abandoning wisdom. But look at nature. Does a lion explain why it couldn't catch its prey? Does a storm justify why it couldn't thunder? Choose now. Will you continue to be a master of excuse, or will you become useless to explanation? Will you persist in perfecting your justifications, or will you render yourself immune to them? The choice is not between having reasons and having none. It is between accepting excuses and executing regardless. This is the way of the warrior: to become hostile to excuse, allergic to justification, immune to explanation. Let others explain their weakness while you demonstrate your strength. Let them justify their limits while you exceed yours. Let them master excuses while you master execution. Become useless to excuse. Let action be your only answer. Most dream of victory. Warriors face defeat. Most imagine triumph. Warriors confront failure. Most fantasize about strength. Warriors engage their weakness. In 60 duels, I never won through imagination. I won through confrontation. This is the warrior's truth. Fantasy feels good, but fear teaches better. Your dreams of greatness mean nothing if you cannot face what threatens you. Most of you live in imagination. You visualize success while avoiding struggle. You picture victory while dodging conflict. You dream of power while running from resistance. But here is what the warrior knows. Fantasy is a narcotic that dulls your edge. Fear is a whetstone that sharpens it. Choose your teacher wisely. Let me ask you this. How many hours have you spent dreaming of victory? How many moments have you invested in imagining success? Now compare this to the time spent facing what frightens you, confronting what challenges you, engaging what threatens you. This gap between fantasy and confrontation is the measure of your self-deception. Here is what most don't understand. Fear is not your enemy. It is your guide. It points precisely to what you must confront. Every fear marks a boundary of your power. Every anxiety highlights an area for conquest. Every trembling signals a territory for triumph. While others avoid these markers, warriors use them as maps. The method is merciless but true. Face what frightens you systematically, not randomly, not recklessly, but intentionally. Map your fears, study them, then move toward them with purpose. This is not about being fearless. It is about being fear-guided. Let your anxieties become your itinerary. Watch closely. Those who live in fantasy become weak in reality. Those who dwell in dreams become useless in danger. Those who indulge in visualization without confrontation become experts in imagination, but novices in action. Your fantasies of power mean nothing if you cannot face what makes you powerless. But let me reveal the deeper truth about fear and fantasy. Fantasy creates expectations that weaken you. Fear creates challenges that strengthen you. Every moment spent in comfortable imagination is a moment stolen from necessary confrontation. While you dream of being unbeatable, fear waits to show you where you can actually become stronger. Most of you have been taught backwards. You believe you must feel brave before facing fear, confident before confronting challenge, ready before engaging resistance. But remember this: bravery is not the absence of fear. It is the recognition that something is more important than fear. The warrior moves not because they feel ready, but because movement is necessary. Here is what separates warriors from dreamers. Warriors use fear as a compass, while others use fantasy as an escape. They understand that what frightens you most often marks what would strengthen you most. They know that anxiety often guards the path to growth. While others seek comfort in imagination, warriors seek guidance in confrontation. The warrior's secret is this: fear is more honest than fantasy. Your nightmares reveal more truth than your dreams. What frightens you exposes precisely what you need to strengthen. What makes you anxious illuminates exactly what you must confront. This is not comfortable knowledge. It is useful knowledge. Your ancestors understood this wisdom. They didn't have the luxury of fantasy. They had the necessity of confrontation. They didn't imagine victory over their fears. They engaged them directly because survival demanded it. This pragmatic courage runs in your blood, waiting to be awakened. Remember this: every fantasy of strength indulged makes actual strength harder to build. Every dream of power entertained makes real power more difficult to forge. Every imagined victory celebrated makes true victory more challenging to achieve. Fantasy feels good, but fear forges better. Most of you will reject this teaching. Fantasy is pleasant. Imagination is comfortable. Visualization feels like progress. But look at nature. A lion doesn't dream about being fierce. It faces each challenge directly. A storm doesn't imagine being powerful. It simply unleashes its force. Reality respects confrontation, not imagination. Choose now. Will you continue to seek comfort in fantasy, or will you begin using fear as your guide? Will you persist in dreaming of who you could be, or will you start confronting what you must become? The choice is not between having fears and having none. It is between running from them and using them. This is the way of the warrior, to transform fear from enemy to ally, from obstacle to opportunity, from barrier to bridge. Let others seek escape in fantasy while you seek growth in confrontation. Let them imagine power while you engage challenge. Let them dream of victory while you face what defeats you. Use fear as your map. It will lead you to strengths you never imagined. Dawn is not just the beginning of the day. It is the battlefield where warriors are forged. In all my victories, none were more important than the daily triumph over comfort in the hours before sunrise. While others slept, I sharpened. While they dreamed, I prepared. While they waited for the day to move them, I moved to shape the day. This is not about morning rituals. This is about seizing power before the world wakes. Most of you surrender the most powerful hours to unconsciousness. You give away the silence before dawn, abandon the clarity of early morning, waste the energy of first light. But here is what the warrior knows. The early hours are unconquered territory. Each morning presents a new land to claim, and only the early risers get to plant their flag. Let me ask you this: who owns your morning? The urgent demands of others or your own decisive will? The reactive rush of late rising or the strategic calm of early action? Most of you begin each day already defeated, not by enemies, but by your own choice to surrender the day's most powerful hours. Here is what most don't understand. Rising early is not about virtue. It is about victory. The first hours carry a power that no other time possesses. The mind is clearest. The world is quietest. The self is strongest. These hours are not just earlier. They are different. They hold opportunities that vanish with the rising sun. The method is non-negotiable. Rise before necessity demands it. Move before obligation requires it. Strike before resistance expects it. This is not about being an early bird. It is about being an early warrior. The difference is not in when you wake, but in what you do with those first unconquered hours. Watch closely. Those who master the morning master their life. Those who claim the first hours claim the day. Those who move early move twice, once in action and once in advantage. While others rush to catch up, the early warrior has already conquered. While they react, you have already shaped events to your will. But let me reveal the deeper truth about early rising. It is not the hour that matters. It is the habit of seizing initiative. Every early rise is a small victory over comfort. Every pre-dawn movement is a triumph over mediocrity. Every early strike is a blow against procrastination. You are not just starting earlier, you are starting stronger. Most of you have been deceived by the myth of night owls and morning people. You believe you are destined for certain hours, programmed for particular times. But remember this, your ancestors rose and hunted with the sun, not because they were morning people, but because survival demanded it. Your DNA carries this ancient wisdom. Here is what separates warriors from waiters. Warriors don't wait for the day, they ambush it. They understand that early movement is multiplied movement. They know that morning initiative becomes daily advantage. While others wait for motivation, warriors create momentum in the first hours that carries through the day. The warrior's secret is this: the early hours are not just quieter, they are more powerful. Every action taken in these hours carries more force. Every decision made in this time holds more clarity. Every step taken in these moments covers more ground. This is not mysticism, it is strategy. Your body knows this truth. Your mind is sharpest, your willpower strongest, your focus clearest in these first hours. This is not preference, it is biology. The morning hours are not just different in time, they are different in potential. Each dawn presents a fresh battlefield, unconquered and full of possibility. Remember this: every time you rise early, you don't just start earlier, you start better. Every pre-dawn movement is not just prior in time, it is superior in impact. Every early strike doesn't just precede, it prevails. The advantage is not in the hour, it is in the initiative seized, the momentum gained, the resistance preempted. Most of you will resist this teaching. You love your sleep, you cherish your comfort, you protect your patterns. But look at nature. Every predator knows the power of early movement. Every hunter understands the advantage of first light. The dawn is not just the end of night, it is the beginning of victory. Choose now. Will you continue surrendering your strongest hours to unconsciousness? Will you persist in giving away your clearest moments to comfort? The choice is not between early and late. It is between seizing power and surrendering it, between striking first and playing catch-up. This is the way of the warrior: to rise when others sleep, to move when others rest, to strike when others wait. Let them call you crazy. Let them label you extreme. Let them defend their comfort while you seize your victory. The early hours are not just different, they are decisive. Own them, or they will be used against you. Victory is not a destination. It is a doorway. In 60 duels, I never stopped to celebrate a win. Each triumph was not an end, but a beginning. Each victory not a conclusion, but a continuation. While others paused to praise their success, I moved forward to pursue the next challenge. This is not about denying joy. It is about maintaining momentum. The warrior knows to stop and celebrate is to stop and grow weak. Most of you pause too long in your victories. You linger in achievement, bask in accomplishment, dwell in success. But here is what the warrior understands. Every celebration is a small surrender to contentment. Every pause for praise is a moment given to stagnation. Victory should not slow your stride, it should lengthen it. Let me ask you this: how many of your celebrations have become chains? How many of your achievements have become anchors? How many of your victories have become velvet prisons? Count carefully. Success has killed more warriors than failure ever could. Not through defeat, but through the seduction of satisfaction. Here is what most don't understand. Celebration creates completion. When you celebrate victory, you subconsciously mark an ending. But in the warrior's path, there are no endings, only new beginnings. Every achievement is not a peak to rest upon, but a plateau from which to sight the next height. The method is absolute. Win and advance. Succeed and proceed, triumph and transcend. Do not pause to polish your medals while others are sharpening their swords. Do not stop to admire your trophies while others are training for tomorrow. This is not about joylessness. It is about endless progression. Watch closely. Those who celebrate longest achieve least. Those who pause for praise lose pace. Those who stop at success stop succeeding. The warrior moves through victory like water through a channel, not stopping to celebrate its flow, but continuing its relentless advance toward the ocean of mastery. But let me reveal the deeper danger of celebration. It shifts your focus from process to outcome. When you celebrate achievement, you begin to chase the celebration rather than the growth. You begin to hunger for recognition rather than progression. The applause becomes sweeter than the advancement. Most of you have been trained by society to seek validation through celebration. You have learned to measure your worth through others' recognition of your victories. But remember this, the most powerful forces in nature do not stop to celebrate their strength. The sun doesn't pause to admire its light. The storm doesn't stop to praise its power. Here is what separates warriors from winners. Warriors understand that victory is not a crown to wear, but a sword to wield. They know that achievement is not a destination to reach, but a foundation to build upon. While others rest in their success, warriors use it as fuel for further conquest. The warrior's secret is this: true power flows through uninterrupted movement. Each victory should not slow your momentum, but accelerate it. Each achievement should not decrease your hunger, but sharpen it. This is not about denying accomplishment. It is about maintaining unstoppable progress. Your ancestors understood this. Wisdom. They didn't have time to celebrate each successful hunt. The next meal needed hunting. They couldn't pause to praise each victory. Survival demanded continued vigilance. This pragmatic persistence runs in your blood, waiting to be awakened. Remember this: every moment spent celebrating is a moment not spent advancing. Every second absorbed in self-congratulation is a second stolen from self-improvement. Every pause for praise is a pause in progress. The victory is not in the win, it is in what you do next. Most of you will resist this teaching. You love your celebrations. You cherish your recognition. You treasure your moments of triumph. But look at nature. The wolf doesn't celebrate catching its prey. It immediately begins scanning for the next hunt. The eagle doesn't stop to admire its successful strike. It maintains its vigilant watch. Choose now. Will you continue to pause at each peak, or will you maintain momentum through your victories? Will you keep stopping to celebrate success, or will you use each achievement as acceleration toward greater heights? The choice is not between joy and joylessness. It is between stagnation and continuous advancement. This is the way of the warrior, to move through victory like wind through trees, neither stopping nor slowing. Let others celebrate while you cultivate. Let them praise while you progress. Let them rest on their laurels while you reach for new heights. Win without celebration. Let your continued advancement be your only acknowledgement. You are not who you were yesterday, or rather, you should not be. Each dawn demands a death, the death of your former self. In all my years of mastery, I learned that the greatest battle is not against any external enemy, but against the ghost of who you were. Yesterday's strength becomes today's weakness. Yesterday's knowledge becomes today's limitation. Yesterday's self becomes today's obstacle. Most of you cling to who you were. You grip your past identity like a shield. Defend your former self like a fortress. Preserve your old ways like precious relics. But here is what the warrior knows. Yesterday's version of you is not an asset. It is an anchor. Every morning demands not just awakening, but rebirth. Every dawn requires not just rising, but resurrection. Let me ask you this. How many versions of yourself have you refused to kill? How many outdated selves still haunt your decisions? How many old identities still dictate your actions? Count these carefully. They are not memories to treasure. They are chains to break. Every version of you that you refuse to kill becomes a ghost that haunts your growth. Here is what most don't understand. Transformation is not a single event. It is a daily execution. You must kill your former self with the sword of conscious choice. Your old habits, your comfortable patterns, your familiar limitations, all must die daily for your warrior self to live. This is not about self-hatred. It is about self-evolution. The method is merciless, but necessary. Each morning, identify what must die. Your former excuses, kill them. Your past limitations, execute them. Your old fears, slash them down. This is not metaphor, it is methodology. The warrior's path demands daily death of the lesser self so the greater self can live. Watch closely. Those who preserve their past self preserve their past limitations. Those who protect their old identity protect their old weaknesses. Those who cling to who they were cling to what held them back. The warrior knows you cannot become who you must be while remaining who you were. But let me reveal the deeper truth about daily transformation. It is not just about killing the weak parts. It is about killing even the strong parts that have served their purpose. Yesterday's strengths can become today's limitations. Yesterday's wisdom can become today's blindness. Yesterday's solutions can become today's problems. Most of you have been taught to value consistency over growth, stability over transformation. You believe that maintaining who you are is more important than becoming who you could be. But remember this, nature does not preserve, it transforms. Every cell in your body dies and is reborn. Your ancestors understood this cycle of death and rebirth. Here is what separates warriors from wanderers. Warriors deliberately kill their former selves while others accidentally become them. They understand that identity is not fixed. It is forged daily through conscious destruction and recreation. While others preserve their past, warriors sacrifice it for their potential. The warrior's secret is this: growth demands death, not once, but daily, not partially, but completely. Each morning when you rise, yesterday's version of you must die fully so today's version can live fully. This is not about gradual change, it is about daily execution of the old to make way for the new. Your instincts know this truth. Your body kills and replaces millions of cells daily. Your mind forms new neural pathways while pruning old ones. Your spirit hungers for transformation while your ego clings to preservation. This battle between death and rebirth runs in your blood, waiting to be consciously directed. Remember this: every morning presents a choice, resurrection or preservation. Every dawn offers an opportunity, transformation or stagnation. Every day demands a decision. Will you kill who you were to become who you must be? This is not about self-improvement. It is about self-succession. Most of you will resist this teaching. Death frightens you, even symbolic death. Transformation threatens you, even necessary transformation. You prefer the comfort of familiar. Limitation to the upheaval of radical renewal. But look at nature. The snake that cannot shed its old skin cannot grow. The butterfly that clings to its cocoon cannot fly. Choose now. Will you preserve who you were, or kill that self to become who you must be? Will you protect your past identity, or execute it to forge your future capability? The choice is not between stability and chaos. It is between stagnation and evolution. This is the way of the warrior: to die daily so that a greater self may live, to execute the old so the new may emerge, to kill limitation so potential may flourish. Let others preserve their past while you forge your future. Let them maintain their identity while you transform yours. Let them remain who they are while you become who you must be. Kill who you were daily. Let each dawn find a new warrior rising from the ashes of the old. There is no final victory, no ultimate achievement, no point of arrival. In 60 duels and 30 years of mastery, I learned this truth: the path of the warrior has no finish line. Those who seek an end to their journey have not understood its nature. Every summit reached reveals higher peaks. Every mastery achieved uncovers deeper mysteries. Every strength gained exposes new weaknesses to conquer. Most of you live for endings. You train for completion. You strive for arrival. You seek the moment when you can finally say, I have made it. But here's what the warrior knows. That moment is a mirage. It is the horizon that recedes as you advance. The day you think you have arrived is the day you begin to decline. Let me ask you this. How many times have you slowed your stride because you thought you were near the end? How often have you reduced your effort because you believed you were close to completion? How many times has the illusion of arrival dulled your warrior spirit? Count these moments. They are not markers of achievement. They are monuments to self-deception. Here is what most don't understand. Mastery is not a destination. It is a direction. Power is not a point to reach. It is a path to walk. Strength is not a state to achieve. It is a journey to continue. The moment you think you have mastered the way is the moment you have lost it. The path is endless because growth is endless. The Iwo method is eternal. Never arrive, never complete, never finish. Move as though each step reveals 10,000 more to take. Train as though each achievement exposes 10,000 more skills to master. Fight as though each victory presents 10,000 more battles to win. This is not about restlessness. It is about endless evolution. Watch closely. Those who seek endings find stagnation. Those who chase completion find decline. Those who pursue arrival find death, not of the body, but of the warrior spirit. Maipu. Path continues not because it is unfinished, but because it is infinite. Each end is just a beginning in disguise. But let me reveal the deeper truth about the endless path. It is not a curse, it is liberation. When you abandon the myth of arrival, you free yourself to grow endlessly. When you release the illusion of completion, you open yourself to eternal expansion. The endless path is not a prison of perpetual striving. It is a playground of perpetual becoming. Most of you have been deceived by the myth of achievement. You believe there is a point where growth can stop, where advancement can cease, where evolution can end. But remember this, nature knows no end point. The universe does not stop expanding. Life does not stop evolving. Your warrior spirit should not stop growing. Here is what separates warriors from wanderers. Warriors embrace the endless path, while others exhaust themselves, seeking its end. They understand that infinity is not a burden to bear, but a freedom to embrace. While others tire themselves pursuing completion, warriors energize themselves exploring expansion. The warrior's secret is this: the joy is not in arriving, it is in advancing. The power is not in completion, it is in continuation. The strength is not in finishing, it is in flowing. When you abandon the need for endings, every moment becomes not a step toward conclusion, but a step into expansion. Your ancestors understood this wisdom. They did not hunt one day and retire the next. They did not fight one battle and abandon vigilance. They knew that survival was not a destination, but a daily renewal. This understanding of perpetual necessity runs in your blood, waiting to be remembered. Remember this: every ending you seek becomes a limit you create. Every finish line you imagine becomes a boundary you impose. Every completion you pursue becomes a ceiling you construct. The warrior's path is limitless because the warrior's potential is limitless. Most of you will resist this teaching. You want closure. You seek completion. You crave arrival. The endless path seems like endless labor, infinite striving, perpetual struggle. But look at nature. Does the river complain about endlessly flowing? Does the wind tire of endlessly blowing? Does the sun weary of endlessly burning? Choose now. Will you continue seeking endings that diminish you, or will you embrace the endless path that expands you? Will you persist in chasing completion, or will you accept the eternal challenge of continuous growth? The choice is not between rest and restlessness. It is between death and endless becoming. This is the way of the warrior. To move without seeking arrival, to grow without demanding completion, to strengthen without requiring conclusion. Let others chase endings while you pursue expansion. Let them seek rest while you seek revolution. Let them try to arrive while you continue to advance. The path has no finish line, and in this endless road lies endless possibility.